Right, Thursday night, 8 p.m, Enzo Maresca's Chelsea take to Stamford Bridge once again to try and redeem ourselves after a very disappointing draw on the weekend against relegation-bound Ipswich Town. When we take on Legia Warsaw in the second leg of the Europa Conference League tie. We are 3 goals to the good from the first leg already, so anything but going through is an absolute disgrace. But do you know what? I'm going to go out on a limb here and say, and it shouldn't even be a limb, but I'm going to say anything but a win in this game is an absolute disgrace, to be honest. I think that the tide very much is turning on this Chelsea side, the board for a long time now, and even the manager to an extent. So much so that a Cole Palmer story has hit the headlines today. And when I say story, I do not mean a story in the media. I mean an Instagram story that we are going to speak about. We are going to preview the Legia Warsaw match, and I am going to give my preferred starting lineup for this game. But people, before we get into all that, if you are new around here, welcome back to the Joey Knight podcast. If you are not already, please do hit the subscribe button. It really helps me out, and smash a like on this video right now. Let's get into it. Right, so first things first, I'm only going off of one game because obviously I don't watch much of the Polish league, but I don't really rate Legia Warsaw. I don't put them as one of the best. I don't put them in the top 3 teams that we've faced in this competition so far this season. I thought that Copenhagen were a better side than Legia Warsaw. But at the same time as that, coming to Stamford Bridge, they've got nothing to lose and everything to gain, really. I think that the bookmakers would have them as 100, 200, 300, 500 to 1 underdogs going into this match to actually go through the tie with that 3-goal deficit. Now, what Chelsea need to do is appease some of the fan base, because there was obviously speak from Enzo Maresca about a little bit of toxicity coming from the fans, unrest coming from the fans after the game on the weekend against Ipswich. And let's be honest, you can't fucking blame them, can you? You know, we have got such a tough run of fixtures. We have been on such an underwhelming run of form, and recently, and I do mean recently, we've started to be able to turn results a little bit more in our favour without putting on the performances. So when we came out for the first 15, 20 odd minutes against Ipswich, and for me, and you may disagree with this, we're playing free-flowing football, we're looking quite good and whatnot, and we're creating chances, and we've got nearly, if you maybe take aside Fofana and Reece James, a full-strength lineup out there, and definitely a lineup capable of beating a team that are set to be relegated from the Premier League this time. I was optimistic against Ipswich, and when we fell behind and then fell 2 behind, I was literally bashing my head on the wall. I did not know what had gone wrong, and I did know, because it's been the story of our season a lot of the time, just too vulnerable and too easy to get past. And I thought that that was a hurdle that we had started to overcome in recent weeks. We had only conceded, I think before that match, it was 2 goals in 8 games. Neither of those were from open play, as far as I believe, but obviously that has all changed now. And the reason that I feel that this game could appease Chelsea fans somewhat is because we could go out there, we could show a bit of character, we could show a good performance, and more importantly, we could show that we do have players coming through the ranks to be excited about. But that fact there that I spoke about, players coming through the ranks, is the reason that it won't appease fans all that much, because in all honesty, I think in this one, we best serve just starting the kids. The Ipswich draw was criminal. That needed to be 3 points, because when you look at the fixtures that we have and the form that Newcastle are in, the form that Aston Villa are in, the uplift that Man City are now starting to have, and obviously their team looking like they could go on. You never know with Man City. They could just go on and win every match now. They could go on and finish 3rd, couldn't they? Easily ahead of Nottingham Forest. And with that gap starting to close and with us starting to drop off, the Ipswich match was a must win. Fulham is now a must win. And believe me, if you're ever going to rest legs for either fixture, you need to now prioritise the Premier League, especially with this 3-goal lead. So with all of that being said, this is the starting lineup that I want to see going into this game. We have gone Philip Jorgensen in goal. Josh Changpong, I thought that he probably did enough against Legia Warsaw to maybe deserve at least some minutes or a start maybe against Ipswich. Obviously, when we saw that Reece James wasn't starting the match, my go-to there would have been Josh Changpong rather than Trevor Chalobah filling it in that sort of right-back space. I would have had Trevor Chalobah in the team, by the way. We are going to go with Tosin Adarabioyo and Benoit Badiashile. And then we're going to go Malo Gusto, who's in the left-back role, but we know that he's going to join up. He's going to invert into that midfield, and he's obviously going to try and get forward down the flank, because as you can see further on, I've got Tyrick George here. Now, I'll speak about the Malo Gusto, Tyrick George sort of link up and how that'll work as it goes on. Matisse Amargu, why have I picked him? Because we've got no one fucking else. That is literally it. Have I been impressed by Matisse Amargu? Not really. Have I been unimpressed by Matisse Amargu? Not really. Have I paid attention when he's come on for the odd 10, 12 minutes here and there? Not really. Enzo Fernandez, the most sort of senior, seasoned player out there in this one for me. And Kiernan Dewsbury-Hall is a man who I thought in the reverse fixture of this tie was maybe up there as a contender for man of the match had it not been for the Noni Madueke goals. I think that he should be given the opportunity. I think that he should be given the opportunity a little bit further forward in this game. Pedro Neto on the right-hand side, Tyrick George on the left-hand side, and let's just chuck Shin Mayuka in there from the start. This is a game that I believe we probably would have been starting Mark Yu in had it not been for his injury. I do not want to see Christopher Nkunku playing in this game. Right, people, I just want to quickly take this opportunity to tell you about new partners of the channel, Squawka. When you're in the YouTube industry like I am, there is a certain type of service that you could very much do with having on your side, and that is the service that stops you making blunders. And when I'm preparing for some of my videos, I use the website Squawka to use the player comparison matrix, and that helps me get a better understanding of comparing the players that I'm talking about. For example, a lot of you guys know that for every Chelsea game, I put out my preferred starting lineup, and I do look into the underlying numbers of the players I'm picking and the players that I'm comparing, and that's where Squawka comes in. They offer the best player comparison matrix on the internet. The website is so efficient and so easy that even I can use it. For example, when I'm picking from Chelsea's 30 to 40 odd wingers that we've got at the club, I can very easily jump onto Squawka and see how their stats compare. But you don't need to be a YouTuber to need to use Squawka. You could use it for your bets when you're betting on first goal scorer and things like that. It could give you a better indication. Or you could just use it to look like a genius down the pub, and we all like to do that, don't we? So thank you very much to Squawka for not only helping me prepare for my videos, but also partnering up with the channel. So help support me by supporting the guys that support the channel in Squawka. They are linked in the description for this video. Let's get back into it. When Enzo Maresca spoke about the negative atmosphere in the stands, right? There will definitely be a negative atmosphere in the stands if he, one, starts Christopher Nkunku in the number 9, and 2, we see a lacklustre display from Christopher Nkunku. And believe me, this really is the point of the season where you want to be trying to win over the fans. Now, I think it's only best that I take to a separate video with the big dog, Josh Aveste, in the studio, where we can discuss Enzo Maresca, his performances. We can discuss him as a manager, whether he is the right fit for Chelsea Football Club moving forward. Do we really keep on going with this cycle of hiring and firing, and expecting immediate results when we are not bringing in proven managers? That is all up in the air for discussion. But one thing that I will discuss just quickly before we move back onto the game is this Cole Palmer story. He put up a story today which shows him scoring A screamer of a goal against Everton. It was a match that I was at. We pumped them. It was a really good one towards the end of last season against, under Mauricio Pochettino. And it simply says above it, enjoyment. Now, there's different interpretations. There's different ways that you could take that. You could take that as, it's a fond memory. It was around the same time of the season. I believe it might have been a year ago today or something like that. And that's why he's posted it. Or you could take it in a way where maybe he's having a sly dig at the manager and saying that systematically this style that he's now playing doesn't fill him with enjoyment. Maybe the role that he is being told to play doesn't give him enjoyment. And I can definitely see it. The numbers don't lie. Cole Palmer never went on a streak of 13, 14 games, whatever it's been now since he last scored a goal. Never even missed a penalty under Pochettino. And under Pochettino, Cole Palmer did really, really flourish. We know that. And at the back end of the season, under Mauricio Pochettino, I remember us putting West Ham to the sword. I remember us putting Everton to the sword. We had some really convincing performances and we played some lovely football. So in terms of enjoyment, I can definitely see where he's coming from. At the same time as that, I do believe that Cole Palmer had a lot of space in that game against Ipswich. A lot more space that I've seen him have in games gone by. And I'm not saying he didn't utilise that space well, but I'm just saying I believe that he did have more of that space. And also with Cole Palmer, I do believe that he has somewhat of a free role. I do believe that there's quite a lot of players in this team under Enzo Maresca that are given the freedom to express themselves. Now, before you jump down my throat, this isn't me sticking up for Enzo Maresca over Cole Palmer. This isn't a case of sticking up for either man, by the way. I'm just saying, I believe that I did see last season a bit more structure and a bit more of a routine from this team, whereas this season you'll see Malo Gusto drift into positions halfway across where he's fucking been fielded from. Cucurella has gone from inverting and helping out Caicedo, chopping out things in the middle, to being the player that in the last couple of months has scored the most goals for us. I believe he's got the most goals, Cucurella, for Chelsea, hasn't he, in 2025? Is that a stat? Is that a thing? I don't know. You tell me. I think it might be. And obviously, you see loads of players that are constantly drifting in and out of other positions and whatnot and switching things up. And it's always going to look bad when you're not winning games. When you're winning games, all of a sudden you're held as a genius when these sort of things are happening. But obviously, Cole Palmer was starting on that right-hand side way more prominently under Pochettino. Now, under Enzo Maresca, he is often really starting in the 10. It becomes a lot more congested in that area of the pitch, especially if on the right-hand side you've got a player like Noni Madueke who likes the one-to-one. He likes to go at players rather than go around the outside like a Pedro Neto might, and therefore he doesn't really hug the touchline as much. He doesn't really expand the game as much. And when you look at this season, we hit the ground running. We looked brilliant. And I put so much of the credit of that down to Enzo Maresca. And I'm not sure that I'm ready to completely write that credit off in terms of Enzo Maresca doing a job here. But I am open to the possibility that it was a continuation of the foundations that Pochettino had laid. And over time, maybe those foundations have been chipped away at. And maybe Cole Palmer feels like he is not being utilised in the way that he should be. So maybe after giving that rogue sort of team sheet where literally, I've gone as B team as we could possibly go, considering we don't have a B team anymore, maybe Cole Palmer might be best served getting some minutes in this game, building his confidence up. I know he's got a few assists lately, but getting back amongst the goals, and then we can have a strong finish. I will be at the match at Stamford Bridge, so I'm looking forward to that one. Big shout out to Amir from Jet Set Hospitality for putting me up with the tickets. Shout Jet Set Hospitality for any of your hospitality requests or anything like that. They don't just do tickets for Chelsea matches, they do tickets for all the clubs. But one more thing is, when I looked at that lineup, right, I was looking because at the start of the season when I build my lineups, I had everyone's little circles on there that I could build my team sheet out of. And I went past so many fucking players that would have been playing in this match that we could have used in this match. Kane Chukwuemeka, he's been looking good for Borussia Dortmund. João Felix, he could have been one that could have been playing in this match. Mark Ewer's obviously suffered an injury, and we didn't sort of account for that in January. We didn't really have any sustainable backup for that. And there's just so many more. There's so many more. So many mistakes made at boardroom level this summer, and that's why I don't want to be too harsh on Enzo Maresca. Come the end of the season, we will be having a look at it. We will be having a debate over it, but I want to see where we finish up, what we finish up with before I make my mind up on whether or not Enzo Maresca is a manager that I'm confident in going forward. So a bit of a random one today where I've just blabbed on, but that's that. This game against Legia Warsaw, I can see Chelsea coming away with maybe a 1-0 win, something like that. Maybe because Legia Warsaw will feel that they need to be so attacking in this match. Maybe there's that slight possibility there that Legia Warsaw might come for all-out attack, and then the likes of Tyrick George, for example, might be thinking, right, here's the time where I really step up after scoring my first senior Chelsea goal and put in the performance of a lifetime. Shin Mayuka, even Kiernan Dewsbury-Hall. So many players here can go out and prove something, not just to the club, to potential buyers in the summer, to the fans, but to themselves, because there are a lot of players there lacking confidence at this moment in time. So either way, let me know your thoughts on the game. Let me know your thoughts on the Cole Palmer Instagram post, whether it was cryptic or not, as something falls down in my bedroom just there. And smash a like on the video. I will see you all in the next one.